It's
work
a
in the targets?
Yeah, so they make sure that there's a berm and it like the land you'll see it like it inclines
Mm-hmm.
up. And
Uh-huh.
so the targets are up above here. So we have, I guess it's a pulley system that it'll
Mm-hmm.
basically put the target up in the air,
Yeah.
and they'll shoot at the target, and then we'll pull it down. You mark where they shot, run it back up, and they can see where they shot their target.
Did you receive any promotions?
Promotion all the way up to the rank of corporal.
Mm-hmm.
So from private first class,
So
private.
how much did you receive?
So like that would be private to private first class. That's one to lance corporal. That's two to corporal. Three promotions.
Oh, okay.
Hmm.
Cool. What was the hardest part of the military lifestyle for you to adapt to?
Like I had said previously, just the moving around, not really knowing when you're gonna get a new
Mm-hmm.
assignment. Like for instance, when I did get notified that I was deploying,
Yeah.
it was through an email, and it was a month before I was deploying.
Oh wow.
So like, hey, you're gonna be gone for 6 months,
Mm-hmm.
and then I have to take care of my apartment,
Mm-hmm.
my animals, bills, etc., and getting that all together for
Mm-hmm.
me to be gone for 6 months. So it's just knowing that you're on their schedule and never yours,
Yeah.
and having so that was definitely the toughest part.
If there were, what was the easiest part of the military lifestyle?
The easiest part is the fact that the choices are kind of made for you, and I
Yeah.
know that sounds weird, but just even as simple as knowing what to wear in the morning.
Uh-huh.
I just put on my uniform in the
Yeah.
morning, and I don't have to think about it.
Yeah.
And then when I got out in the civilian world, I go, oh my gosh, I have choices.
Yeah.
I can decide what to wear,
Yeah.
and it's actually kind of been intimidating when it comes to me getting close to finishing school and going to job interviews and everything. It's like, oh my gosh, like I know that there's business professional, but I'm so used to being a Marine.
Mm-hmm.
And now they say once a Marine, always a Marine, but at the same time, I have to be the other side of myself that's not currently a Marine.
Yeah.
And that's kind of tough. And so in the Marine Corps, I knew I was a Marine, and there was standards and that I had to uphold, and it was easy. I knew what I had to accomplish, and I was told, and then I got there. In the real world, you're not really given a set of rules. You make your own rules, and that's kind of tough.
Oh, cool. Where did you serve?
I was mainly stationed in North Carolina, but I did do training out in 29 Palms, California, and then, like I said, over in Afghanistan.
How was the weather?
In Afghanistan?
Yeah.
So I was there from August until January. So when I
Mm-hmm.
first got there, it was just like you would think, like super hot
Mm-hmm.
during the day. But in January, it got insanely cold. It actually got below freezing.
During the
A
day
lot
or
of
at night?
at night. I mean, but it wouldn't get warmer than like the 30s or something, like something like, well, which is still freezing for us, but yeah, it was like 30s, 40s over there during the day, and then below zero because it's desert out there.
Mm-hmm.
So there's no like foliage or fauna to like hold in the humidity and like insulate you. So all the heat gets released back into the atmosphere. It's dead cold out there.
Wow. What was your recollections of the experience besides the heat?
It was you had to take one day at a time, but
Mm-hmm.
at the same time, the days went by so slow
Mm-hmm.
because it was the same thing every day. We happened to work 12-hour shifts, 12 on, 12 off, and it was in a sense easy
Mm-hmm.
that it was a routine, but at the same time, like you're not seeing your loved ones. You're out in this desert. You're basically staying in I guess when I say a Connex box, like almost like a shipping container that you see on like trains
Yeah.
that have been made into rooms that are just placed out there in the desert in the wire, and it was just kind of like the most surreal experience. It was definitely an experience. And just always kind of knowing that there's that immediate danger of like something could happen. We did have a couple instances where like rocket rails were pointed at our base, and it's just like, oh my gosh, this is real life.
Yeah.
Like this is what I saw in the movies. This
Yeah.
isn't. And yeah, it was definitely eye opening for sure.
A lot of adrenaline.
A lot of
Yeah.
adrenaline every day, like you don't know, and having to even carry your weapon every day.
Mhm.
That was like so new to me. And then
Mhm.
because we have to have our weapon on us just in case something happens.
Yeah.
And then even coming back from deployment, you know, we don't have to have our weapon anymore, and you're going, oh my gosh, where's my weapon? I have to have it on me to feel safe, but I don't need that here anymore. So it was a very surreal experience.
Where were you in combat support, or combat service support role?
I think it would be better classified as a combat support role. I wasn't out on the front lines or anything, but I did aid in combat missions by forecasting for any aviation or ground combat missions while I was out there. So like, I was inside the wire. I didn't see any combat or anything per se, but I was technically in a combat zone.
Well, you said you were in the front lines, but
Correct.
were you still like kind of in some combat?
I was in a combat zone, so like we still had threats like right outside of our base. Like there was, like I said, we would get satellite shots here and there of, you know, threats that the grunts, or rather the infantry men, had, like, you know, taken out and neutralized for us, you know. So there was definitely constant threats. We did lose some Marines while we were out there, along with some foreign nationals. So there was definitely, the threat was out there. We were just fortunate that we were inside the wire in more of a support role.
How did the experience change you?
It changed me a lot. I'm definitely not the same person. It's definitely made me a little bit colder, a little bit, what's the word I'm looking for? Vigilant in like my safety. Very, yeah. I like, even when I'm in a restaurant, I want to make sure that I'm always sitting to where I see the door, so that I know I have an exit plan. I have a hard time relating to people because at my young age, in my early 20s, it wasn't the college experience and traveling, it was, serving in the military. And so when I first got in the civilian world, I felt like I didn't have anybody to relate to, but I still did. It was just like hard opening up, feeling safe around people.
Yeah. What kinds of friendships and did you form while serving?
Very strong brotherhood type.
Was there like one person in particular?
It was just everybody that I served with. Just you get really close with those who you serve with, and even just meeting a fellow Marine on the street, there's that instant connection. There's that instant brotherhood. Like, where did you serve? Oh, I was there too. Do you know this person? Because there's only, we're the few, the proud. So there's only a certain few of us, and we seem to like, there's that 6 degrees of separation. Well, it's smaller in the Marine Corps because the Marine Corps is so small. So you always end up knowing each other, and it's like your built-in brother, built-in sister, and you can count on them for anything.
Yeah. How did you stay in touch with family and friends?
Thank God through the miracle of social media, I was able to like FaceTime and through Facebook even, be able to stay in contact with them. So it made it really easy. Like, I'm so thankful I had that compared to the old days where you had to write letters.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
What did you do for recreation or when you were off duty or like downtime?
During deployment or just like in general while I was serving?
While you were serving.
While I was serving, thankfully where I was stationed in North Carolina, it was more towards the coast. So we spent a lot of time at the beach, especially during the summer. The Marine Corps is very big on volunteer opportunities. So like during Christmas time, there's Toys for Tots. The unit is also always involved in volunteering, just locally helping with the schools and everything. So we did a bunch of that. And then, of course, because PT, physical fitness is such a priority, half the time we just end up getting together on the weekends and like going for a little run or like going on the beach to play sports even, just anything to just hang out with each other.
What do you recall any particular humorous or unusual events, like any pranks you've made?
Oh my gosh, so many. Probably my favorite was at the schoolhouse. So every Thursday is field day, and that's different from the field day that you hear about at school.
Yeah.
Field day is cleaning your rooms for inspection and making sure that your beds are nice and the the toilets are scrubbed and everything like that. But at our schoolhouse, for somebody way long ago started a tradition that after field day we would all have a Nerf gun war in the barracks after, and that was always like super fun. We'd just be kids again after a moment that was so serious and just like mess each other up with some Nerf guns. That was always so fun.
Oh, that's so fun. Yeah. Was there something you did for good luck?
Good luck, man. I just pray to God. That's all you can do, especially like when I was out there in Afghanistan. I was like, I remember that last flight flying from like Turkey actually into Kazakhstan before you go into Afghanistan. I was like, oh my gosh, like this is real. Like you just pray, like that's all you have. You look left, you look right, and you have your fellow Marines, and like that's all you have. But you know that you're safe though. Like we got each other's back. That's all you can do.
What was the best part of your service experience?
It definitely opened so many doors of opportunities for me that I never thought I would have in life. The type of stuff that just being able to take care of myself, even thank God for the benefits that we do have through the VA and like our GI Bill for school and everything. I'm so thankful for that, especially with like everything that I've been through because of the military. It's given me a new lease on life. Like I was able to find who I was after the Marine Corps and be successful. I couldn't be happier.
Do you recall the day service, when the day service ended?
November 30th, 2014, it was the weirdest day for me because you basically go into the administrative building, you do your last little bit, and you're in civilian clothes, regular clothes, and so they hand you your DD-214, which is the other form that I actually brought with me, and it's basically is like a summary of your service, and they go, all right, you're good to go, and I was like, what? Like... So I was like, what? Like, what do you mean I'm done? Like, I can just walk off base and I don't have to come back. I don't have to report to anybody. I don't have to... What? It was the most surreal feeling ever.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
Where were you when you, ended?
I was in Cherry Point, North Carolina, and which is in Havelock, North Carolina. It's a coastal city.
Uh-huh.
So, yep.
Did you return straight home, or did you,
From North Carolina, I went back to Texas, Houston, Texas, where I was born, to stay with my mother's side of the family to kind of get back on my feet.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
How were you received by your family and community? Open arms or
It was a little tough because I was still it was hard that one day you go from Marine to you're like, who am I? Or after this, I just went from serving my country. I reported in every day. I had a job to all of a sudden I don't have a job. Who am I? And what do I do from here? So I'm sorry, can you repeat the question?
How were you received by your
family? Received. So yeah, it was tough because I wasn't really secure in who I was. And so my family, they were like, take your time and figure out, where you need to be, who you are and everything. So they were definitely helpful. But just, I think it was more me. I had a hard time coming and figuring out who I was and what to do after. And so that's why I started working first before I went to school, because I just didn't know what to do.
How did you readjust to civilian life? Did you work or go back to school?
So I did work. Funnily enough, I ended up moving back to Biloxi, Mississippi, where I went for my job school, and I worked as a table games dealer at the casinos there. And so I worked at casinos there. I moved to Las Vegas for a little bit, and I even did table games on the Strip. And then I said, this life isn't for me, and I want to go back to school, and I want to be educated. And so I looked at, what I really wanted to do in life, and I said ever since I was a kid, hey, I wanted to be a marine biologist. And so let's start looking at schools, and I found Jacksonville University.
Oh, wow. Did the GI Bill support your education?
Yes, it's helped me a lot. It's helped me live basically. Like it gives me a basic housing allowance, so I'm so extremely grateful for it that we had those benefits in place for us.
How did service change you? I think you previously talked about.
Yeah, sir. I'm a little bit more like apprehensive around
Yeah.
people. I'm a little bit more cold.
Yeah.
But at the same time, with the help of my benefits and the VA, I'm getting a new lease on life.
Yeah. That girly girl thing you talked about at the
Yes.
beginning, is that still there?
Oh yes, that's still very much there. I get my nails done every 2 weeks. Yes, like yeah, it's still there.
Did you continue any friendships after service?
Oh yes, thankfully through social media, even though we're kind of a little bit all over the country,
Yeah.
because most of us are going to school, we stay in contact, send each other, memes and stuff, especially that are military related, like, oh my gosh, do you remember when we did this or did that? And it's so great. There's such great military humor out there.
Yeah. How did service affect the way you relate to others?
It's to other military members. It's easy. I'm so glad we have a great military community here on JU specifically.
Yeah.
But relating to my peers who are not military has been a little bit difficult. Like I said earlier, I graduated high school and most of us go off to college and have the traditional college experience, and you make a bunch of friends, and you have this friend, that friend. And I went off to the military. I made my friends there, but then once I got out, we're all spread out all across the country now, so I can't just go see them, and we can't just all be hanging out all together all the time. And so it was tough to not have anybody who I knew and to relate to right here. But I've met some amazing people here on Jacksonville University, or at Jacksonville University, that have like made the effort to like get to know me and relate, and then I've gotten to know them and see that we're not all that different, even though I served in the military.
Did you join any veteran organizations?
I was for a while part of the Student Veterans Association here on campus, and of course any chance that I see veteran anything anywhere in Jacksonville, thankfully there's tons of like Wounded Warrior Project, a ton of organizations here. Like I'm trying to jump on it.
Do you attend reunions?
I haven't been to any yet, but I would love to attend another Marine Corps ball. Soon. I can go to any local one and like look it up, but that's always such a nice event, like getting dressed up to the nine and everything. So that would be really fun.
How did your military service experience affect your life?
It's overall, I would say there's definitely more positive than negative. Like I said, it's opened up so many doors and opportunities for me. I'm respected in a way that like sometimes I know I deserve it, but like I just for the fact that I am a Marine, and they can see everything that I worked for.